Everything you think you know about diabetes, heart disease, and stubborn weight gain might be upside down. Leading endocrinologist Dr. Robert Lustig points to one hidden driver that ties these problems together: insulin resistance. That single breakdown in how your body handles fuel shows up in different organs as different diseases. In the liver, it looks like type 2 diabetes. In the ovaries, it looks like polycystic ovary syndrome. In your arteries, it looks like cardiovascular disease. And in the brain, it may look like cognitive decline. Different labels, one common root. The difficult truth is that most people do not know they have insulin resistance. Fasting insulin is rarely checked. By the time you feel the effects crashes after meals, creeping belly fat, rising blood pressure, your cells have already stopped responding to insulin the way they used to. And according to population data, only a small fraction of adults are truly metabolically healthy. What is happening under the hood? Think of insulin as your storage signal. You eat, glucose rises. Insulin escorts that glucose into cells, and the extra gets tucked away for later. When your diet regularly overloads the system with refined carbohydrates, liquid sugars, and ultra-processed foods, the liver becomes the choke point. It cannot burn fuel as quickly as it arrives. To protect itself, the liver converts the excess into fat and stores it locally. That is how non-alcoholic fatty liver disease develops. 50 years ago, this was a condition you saw almost exclusively in heavy drinkers. Now, a large portion of adults and a shocking number of children show fatty changes in the liver despite never touching alcohol. It does not knock you out in a week. It slowly erodes metabolic health for years. Liver fat is not just a storage mistake. It is a signal. When the liver fills with fat, mitochondria, the tiny engines that turn fuel into energies, start to struggle. Cells need more and more insulin to move the same amount of glucose. The pancreas responds by pushing insulin higher all day and all night. That constant elevation locks your metabolism into fat-storing mode, especially around the midsection. The great news is that this process can run in reverse. You can restore insulin sensitivity, and the path runs straight through nutrition. Not all fats behave the same in the body, and the fats you choose change how your cells burn energy, how inflamed your tissues become, and how hungry you feel. Let us start with saturated fat, the most misunderstood nutrient of the last half-century. For decades, saturated fat was painted as the villain. We swapped butter for margarine, whole milk for skim, red meat for heaps of pasta and cereal, and we assumed we had solved heart disease. We did not. What we did do was flood our diets with sugar and refined starch, while lowering the very nutrients that make cell membranes stable and resilient. Here is a key nuance almost nobody hears. There is more than one kind of saturated fat. Even chain-saturated fats are more common in red meat. Odd chain-saturated fats are abundant in dairy. Those odd chain fats carry a different chemical signature and behave differently in the body. Evidence suggests they are not inflammatory and may even associate with better metabolic health. That does not mean a free pass to eat anything labeled dairy. It means quality matters. Butter from grass-fed cows, eggs from pasture-raised hens, yogurt with real cultures and without added sugar, these foods carry stable fatty acids that your cells can burn cleanly without spiking insulin. Next are omega-3 fats, the quiet repair crew for your metabolism. These are the long-chain polyunsaturated fats that help your cells sense insulin again, especially in the liver and muscles. They rebuild mitochondrial membranes so those little engines can breathe and burn. Also calm down chronic inflammation, which shows up on lab tests as lower C-reactive protein. If you are trying to lose weight without being miserable, omega-3s bring another gift. They help your brain respond to leptin, the hormone that tells you have had enough. People often notice fewer cravings and steadier energy when they start getting adequate omega-3 intake. The richest sources are wild-caught salmon, sardines, and mackerel. If you eat plant-based chia seeds, walnuts, and ground flax can help, although the conversion from the plant form into the long-chain forms your body prefers is limited. One more detail that matters: farming practices change the fat in fish. Grain-fed farmed fish carry far less omega-3 and more omega-6. Source wisely when you can. Now let us talk about monounsaturated fat, especially oleic acid. It's the kind you find in extra virgin olive oil, avocados, macadamia nuts, and almonds. Oleic acid talks directly to a receptor in your liver, often described as the fuel gauge. When that gauge is switched on, your liver burns energy more efficiently and makes less internal fat. That is exactly what you want if you are trying to reverse insulin resistance. There is a practical caution here. The delicate double bond that makes olive oil mono can flip under high heat. Keep olive oil for dressings and low to medium heat cooking. For high heat, use stable fats like ghee or coconut oil, so you do not accidentally turn a healthy fat into something your body struggles to handle. When you combine these three fat patterns, stable saturated fat from quality animal foods, omega-3s from fish or selected plants, and monounsaturated fat from olive oil and whole foods, you create a metabolic environment that lets insulin do its job again. The liver sheds fat. Mitochondria recover. The pancreas stands down. You feel it as fewer afternoon crashes, less desperate snacking, a calmer appetite, and a waistline that finally moves in the right direction. Nutrition is the main lever, but it is not the only lever. Movement matters because muscle is your largest glucose sink. Every time you contract a muscle, you pull sugar out of the bloodstream even if insulin signaling is sluggish. You do not need ultra-long cardio sessions to get this benefit. Brisk walking after meals, short bouts of strength work, and daily step goals change the way your body partitions fuel. Sleep matters because poor sleep pushes insulin and hunger hormones in the wrong direction. Chronic stress matters because cortisol nudges your body towards storing energy, not burning it. All of these signals converge on the same decision point. Do we store or do we burn? If you want a simple starting plan, begin with breakfast and dinner. Build each plate around protein and healthy fats, then add non-starchy vegetables and berries. Scrambled eggs in olive oil with a side of smoked salmon and sautéed spinach. Greek yogurt with walnuts and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. A big salad with avocado, grilled chicken, and a lemon olive oil dressing. A steak the size of your palm with roasted broccoli and a pat of butter. Meals like these are naturally low in sugar, naturally satisfying, and do not demand a flood of insulin to process. As your days settle into this pattern, your fasting insulin can come down. When insulin comes down, access to stored fat opens up. You may also hear about measuring a glucose ketone index to see how your body is shifting its fuel mix. Some people like the feedback. They use a small finger stick meter to check glucose and ketones and watch the ratio move as their diet changes. You do not have to track numbers to make progress, but for people who enjoy data, it can be motivating to see the physiology line up with how you feel. A quick word on cooking oils, because swapping fats is only helpful if you remove the troublemakers. Many ultra-processed foods are cooked in refined seed oils that are easily oxidized. Those damaged fats add to oxidative stress and do nothing to help insulin sensitivity. Read labels. If the first ingredients are corn oil, soybean oil, or vegetable oil, it is a sign to choose a different option. At home, lean on extra virgin olive oil for cold uses and low heat, on butter or ghee for higher heat, and on coconut oil when you need a very stable fat. You might be wondering where carbohydrates fit. Carbs are not the enemy. The problem is dose and form. A bowl of steel-cut oats with walnuts and berries, or roasted sweet potato alongside a protein-rich dinner, lands very differently than a bottle of fruit juice or a pastry on an empty stomach. If your goal is to repair insulin signaling, place most of your carbs around times when your muscles are active, and pair them with protein and fat so the whole meal digests more slowly. Many people do well choosing non-starchy vegetables freely, fruit in whole form, and starches strategically. If you like clear signals of progress, track simple markers. Waist circumference is a strong proxy for liver fat and visceral fat. Take a measurement at the navel once a week under the same conditions. Pay attention to how you feel 90 minutes after meals. Do you have steady energy, or do you feel foggy and hungry? Look at your bedtime appetite. People who are improving insulin sensitivity often notice late-night snacking urges fading without a fight. When possible, ask your healthcare provider to include fasting insulin in your lab work, along with glucose and lipids. It tells a very different story than glucose alone. There is one more mindset shift that helps. For years, we were taught to think less fat, less salt, fewer calories. To fix insulin resistance, you often need to think better, not merely less. better fats that stabilize membranes and mitochondria, better proteins that protect lean mass, better carbs in whole forms that your body can process on a calmer insulin curve. When you build meals this way, you are not white-knuckling hunger. You are changing the signal your metabolism hears all day long. If you are over 40, this matters even more. Hormonal shifts, lower muscle mass, and more time spent sitting all make insulin resistance easier to develop. The flip side is encouraging. People in their 40s, 50s, and beyond can see dramatic improvements when they make these changes. Muscle still responds to training. Mitochondria still rebuild. The liver still clears fat when you stop sending it more than it can burn. Your body is not broken. It is responding to the inputs it receives. Change the inputs, and it will change. As always, use common sense and talk with your healthcare provider, especially if you take medications for blood sugar, blood pressure, or lipids. When insulin sensitivity improves, those medications may need adjustment. The goal here is not to collect rules. The goal is to restore function so your body can do what it was designed to do. If this helped clarify insulin resistance and gave you a practical path forward, tap like and subscribe so you do not miss the next deep dive. And drop the words "fix insulin" in the comments if you are committing to 2 simple changes this week. Cook with real fats and take a 10-minute walk after your largest meal. Small wins compound. Your energy, your mood, and your waistline will tell you are on the right track.